Hola chicos, oi rapaziada. We're back for episode number 23, spilling the beans on living abroad in your late 20s, almost early 30s for my co-host Maggie.
Oi!
And if you're listening... Sorry. If you're listening for the first time, just a heads up that we speak our minds here at Labia Talk, and the last time we checked, our current location was very far down the gutter, so if filthy language and dirty conversation is not a bit you, we suggest you switch off now.
Whoa, is that your best Joe Wicks impression there?
I don't know. Maybe I should speak in a British accent for the rest of the podcast.
Oh God, please don't. Spare us.
Yeah, I know. Where would I be from if I spoke like this?
I'm not quite sure. A really bad Mary Poppins, what's his name? Dick Van Dyke's great-grandson or something like that.
Oh, bless. How's it going, Maggie?
I'm fantastic. How are you, darling? How are you?
Good. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, tonight I'm on the good old-fashioned Prosecco.
Oh, wow. Fancy one you are.
And what about you, darling?
I'm on the Calcil Gis.
Hey, show us.
Cassil Gis.
Oh, that looks very soulful.
Yeah, look at it. It's kind of like a nice, hearty beer. Kind of a golden flavour. And if people from Brazil... It's a Brazilian drink, and it's cerveja puro malte, like a pure malte cerveja from Rio de Janeiro. So I wonder if people know the correct pronunciation. I obviously don't.
Fantastic. Well, no, you don't. But the one thing you do know is a good beer.
I
do
know a good beer.
You call yourself an expert in that.
I'm a sexpert and I'm a bexpert.
Well, no, I know a sexpert. Sorry. Hang on, where am I going with this? I do know that you paraded around how great Antarctica was, but since I've watched your YouTube videos, it doesn't seem like it's the cerveza to be drinking.
No,
cerveza
it's definitely not. It's definitely not. Do you know, Brazil is full of craft beer, and I'm really impressed with the quality here of the craft beer. So I don't know if this is necessarily a craft beer, but like the types of beer that are available, obviously a little bit more expensive, is good. And speaking of YouTube, I want to thank everybody who is listening who has subscribed to my YouTube channel. I just passed 1,000 subscribers, which is a big milestone for me. So thank you so much for your support. And if you would like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can search Ollie Levito on YouTube. So thanks so much.
Oh, there we go. Go on, guys. Let's give him a round of applause. Well done, Ollie. Very happy for you.
So going back to living abroad in your late 20s, and we've both experienced relationships abroad, and again, this is a relationship podcast and a relationship episode, so what are we going to talk about today?
I know. Well, we really are back with a bang this week, or should that be a banger? So in the vein of food innuendos, some of us really do love our bangers, i.e. Ollie.
Maggie?
Every day of the week. Breakfast, lunch and dinner.
I was going to say that.
Absolutely.
You know me too well.
Wow. But Ollie Levito, what would you do if you're... What's that? Show me. Oh, that's the stretcher, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a bum stretcher.
Oh my God, that looks brilliant. Oh, it kind of looks like a plug, but it's not a plug. It kind of looks like, it looks like it would give you like a mold, like it could be a mold. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It works really well.
Wow, would you ever get your penis molded?
No.
No?
No.
You wouldn't want like your penis cast? And
no.
I don't know, give it as a present to somebody?
No, they can have the real thing.
This is true, actually. So talking about those kind of bangers, what if the banger came with an expiration date? And for those people who out there who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, a banger in British English is basically a sausage.
Yeah, I mean, we call them bangers as well, but like Maggie's referring to a banger, which is a sausage, as a penis, right?
Oh, yeah. So what if this penis came with an expiration date? What would you do, Ollie?
Mm. Oh, God. I mean, we're going to get into the main topic. I have so many, thoughts and expressions here.
Exactly.
But,
no, Ollie, because I don't know. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship or a situation that you knew was ending?
I mean, all my relationships have been like that. Ending because they've never liked me. No, I'm joking.
Oh, babe, come on. We're not getting out the little tiny violin just yet in the corner. But did you happen to fall in love with someone while living abroad?
Yes.
And I wonder, is the addition of an expiration date necessarily a bad thing? Or can it be an opportunity for really seizing the moment and doing things you wouldn't have been so brave and bold to do if the sense of urgency hadn't been there? But on the flip side, can an expiration date kill the vibe with the hot, inseparable bond you used to share just fizzing out?
Oh, lots of deep questions there, and it does have me thinking. But before we get into today's main topic, I want to give a shout out to a new listener out here who I forced to listen to the podcast, and now this person is listening to it.
Wow!
And today's shout out goes to my great friend in Belo Horizonte in Brazil, Julio Lobo, who obviously is fluent in English. So I traveled with Julio a few weeks ago to Buzios. You may have seen him in one of my YouTube videos. I'm like, everybody knows him now. And yeah, I want to say thank you to Julio for listening and supporting the podcast. And I love you so much, and we love you.
We love you, Julio. Thank you so much for being a Lab Your Talk listener. And we hope you enjoy the episodes for many more seasons to come.
So Maggie, you went on with like a food innuendo earlier. So I want to know, what is this week's food for thought?
So yeah, our food for thought this week is, you never know when the food's going to go off. So enjoy it while it's fresh.
Please explain.
So let's say you buy a bang. I'm not going to say you buy a banger. You acquire a banger. Surely it tastes best when it's fresh, and you've got to just enjoy it in the moment. Like, you've got to enjoy all your connections, all your new relationships, anybody that you meet and you feel like you've got a bond with. Just enjoy the moment, because you never know what's around the corner. Just about to get a little bit cheesy and sentimental now the Prosecco is flowing. But you never know what's around the corner and what's going to happen in life. So if you're having a good time with somebody, just keep on going.
Totally. I think that's great advice to our listeners. And I think this is really relevant as well. Like, in the world of online dating, or the era of online dating, it's really easy to like talk to a person for a day or two, and then the conversation just fizzle out, or it just die and nothing ever comes of it. So taking that opportunity when it comes, rather than, prolonging things and just like, waiting for the fish or the banger to get stale, to get like overused, or like you can't eat it anymore because it's a bit smelly, is just not the thing. So I live by the philosophy that if you're going to match with someone on Tinder, or you're going to match with someone on Grindr, then you fuck them right there and then. And if you don't fuck them there right and then it's, not worth it.
You know what? I've totally got to agree with you, though, because sometimes the period just really, like, it just fizzles out so quickly. You don't talk to somebody for about a day or so, or they don't reply to you for about a day or so. And it's like, oh, wow, well, the moment's just kind of gone now. And nobody wants, like, rotten eggs. Nobody wants a smelly banger. So
no one wants to smell dead fish or rotten eggs.
But they really, really don't. So you've really just got to go for it when you can, I think.
Absolutely.
And put the effort in. But yeah, so Ollie, I feel like we can really dive deep into this because, we've both experienced living abroad temporarily for a period of time. As you've said before, you've lived in France, you've lived in, of course, you've lived in Bolivia, you've lived where you are at the moment. But have you been in a situation where you've met somebody you've been with them in a country where you know you're not going to be there for a long period of time, and you know that the relationship either is going to have to finish when you leave, or it's going to have to become a long distance or a different kind of, format.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question because, like, when I think about my life, the last 10 years, I've lived like 50% of that time abroad. It's fucking crazy when you think about it, right?
I'm so
My
jealous.
poor mother. You're
Yeah.
jealous.
I'm
My poor mother.
jealous.
And anyway, my 3 relationships that I've had in my life have been with, turns out, Brazilians, which is why I live in Brazil. And every relationship, I guess, has had an expiry date because my first relationship, the person was on exchange. The second relationship, we were both on exchange in France, so a country that wasn't part of where we were together. And that dynamic was a little bit different to the first relationship because, like, in the first relationship, I was comfortable and at home. In the second relationship, it was kind of like I knew that there was going to be an end and maybe we wouldn't see each other again. I mean, it turns out that we're very good friends these days because, it's important for me to be friends with my past exes, regardless of how big a cunt they were.
Yeah, word.
And my third relationship, again, was the same, a Brazilian and I in Bolivia. As much as we loved living in Bolivia and he was studying and I was working, it wasn't a country that we weren't going to... We knew that we weren't going to stay there forever. I always knew that I was going to come to Brazil to explore because I like to explore different parts of the world. And he always had his intention of returning to Brazil where he is now. So for me, it's always been that way. But I've never really looked at relationships as having an expiry date. I've always lived in the moment. And I wonder if you're the same, Maggie.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You raised so many interesting points because knowing you on a personal level, as like one of my best friends, I know you're a very romantic person, and yeah, and you just love being in love, right? Or you like love the notion of being in love and being loved. I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is...
No, you're right.
Yeah, and love is so big for you. So the fact that you're even willing to get into a serious relationship with somebody when there's a possibility that you won't be physically close together for the whole time of your relationship is amazing. And for me, I agree. Like, I'm very much in the moment too about being in a relationship. However, if I know that there's maybe a possibility of it ending, I've had like quite a different... Oh,
Sorry.
you gave me eye contact as well.
I had to get it in.
So Ollie, that's like when my cat decides to poop in his fucking litter tray and give me eye contact. You are such an animal.
I'm
honestly.
sorry.
I don't know if your partners have said the same or your love, but you are an absolute animal.
They do know that I poo quite often.
Oh, okay. Just not in their face.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, where were we? Basically, I agree. I live in the moment as well, but perhaps I approach being in a relationship when I know that there's an expiry date in a different way. Sometimes that's kind of killed the mood for me. So yeah.
Like, I mean, it leads on to the next point. Like, can you let yourself get attached to someone when you know you're somewhere only temporarily? And for you, it sounds like that maybe that's a little bit more of a difficult thing. Especially if you know something's like expiring, like, especially like I've had friends who have met people like, a couple of weeks or a month or two before they leave and have just like totally embraced everything. And I'm like, amazing, right? I think that's so fantastic. And actually it happened to me because when I met my first boyfriend, who I love so much now as a friend, I was there I had 3 months before I moved to France. So I knew that like it had an expiry. But I just like went all in. It was such a beautiful, romantic and, really sexual time.
Yeah. Oh my God. I bet you were just like doing everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you knew like there was only like a certain amount of time left to do it all. So just everything is everything sort of like in fast forward sort of pace?
I think it is,
How interesting. I've got to say, it does kind of, do you feel like the relationship sort of intensifies?
Totally. For me, I think it does. I think because, like, I guess it's like when you're in a relationship to start off with, and you know that, like, the honeymoon phase of a relationship, right? The initial, like, 2 or 3 months, or even 4 or 5 months are really intense. It's like you want to be with this person forever. You want to fuck them every day, morning, afternoon, evening. It's just that intense period. And especially if you know you're going to be with that person for, 3 or 6 months, and then it's going to end, like, you got no time to waste, darling. You just want to get fucking to it. I think in my first relationship, we fucked everywhere. We fucked in, I'm not going to say a lot of the places, but like when I moved out of my university accommodation, we used to come back to the campus. I was staying with my sister. We used to come back to the campus and come back to my university accommodation and go through all of like the dorms to see which doors were unlocked so we could have sex in those bedrooms.
That's so filthy. I absolutely love your brazen, bold energy. That's kind of what I used to do in sixth form, to be honest with you, but that's a bit like slutty for me to admit that.
Oh, what's sixth form?
Oh, sixth form is when, do you not have the equivalent in Australia?
I know, I'm doing it for our international listeners.
I completely forget which customs you borrow from the United States and which ones you borrow from us. But
I thought you were going to say real life English.
No. Not this time. So, little plug again. Always. Ollie's always got the plug ready.
I do.
So do I, but a different kind.
You naughty one.
Oh, not a spicy one. Feisty one you are. No. Okay, so sixth form college is essentially the 2 years from when you're 16 to 18 years old that you sit your A-level exams that prepare you for university. So I had a boyfriend and we were basically just walking around all of the school classrooms trying to find a spare classroom just so I could blow him in. And one time, I will actually say this, and one time, obviously, everything happened, and then all of a sudden we could hear footsteps approaching, and it wasn't just like 1 or 2 people; it was a whole classroom of boys. It was an all boys secondary school. By the way.
My god!
It was a whole. Hang on, it was a whole classroom of boys.
I'm just thinking about Pornhub right now.
Yeah, this is very Pornhub worthy, to be honest. Sounds like a scenario you might find there. The whole classroom of boys just kind of like entered with a teacher, and me and him pretended we were sitting on separate desks away from each other, pretending to do our work. And it was so obvious. It was so bad. But we never got in trouble for it. Oh my god, don't choke. I know the idea of heteronormative sex just like repulses you that much. But yeah, like it was I can't believe we didn't get suspended or any detention for it though. But I guess the teachers were just that shocked.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I bet they were. So I want to go back to the expiry date of relationships and talking about the fact that we've both discussed that sometimes people might be reserved and not try and get too close to a person, and they might even like resent that person in case, because they know it's like ending. It's like, oh, I'm not getting, you're a bitch, I'm not getting close to you. And other people are just the opposite, at the extreme end. They're just so passionate and stuff like that. And for those people, does it make your relationship more intense? Do you tend to do new things and try new things with your sexual partner? So maybe like in a hetero relationship, does it mean that the woman straps a dick on her and starts fucking the boy up the asshole?
Yeah, perhaps she does. I would say that it can sort of heighten your experience, and I've definitely had situations where my partner at the time and I, we were both willing to like try new things. This was just before I went to Bolivia, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like, I'm not going to see you for a year anyway. How, like, you know, if anything, it's just going to be a funny experience for us to talk about later. Well, maybe not talk about later, actually. But, you know, a funny experience to, like, look back on in hindsight. So, yeah, you kind of just seize the moment more, and you've got more of a fuck it mentality. But, you know, even at the moment, I find my time in London very temporary. Nothing is set in stone, but obviously I see this period in London just as like a temporary transition before I return back to Latin America. So of course I'm sort of really seizing the moment myself, and for that reason, yeah, just kind of embracing any opportunity. And I think
You're a global citizen.
I'm a nomad. I'm a digital nomad.
I'm curious because, like, you know, some people, going back to, like, the intensity of the relationship, if people are intense in a relationship, that's fine. But what about the other people who kind of, like, don't want to get too close to the person but are still happy to be in a relationship? Does it close off other opportunities to get to know other people, to get to, like, if you're living abroad, like, you want to, like, I mean, people go abroad to have sex as much as possible. I mean, I don't know, that's what we do here at Lavy Talk Podcast. Well, me anyway. I'm not going to speak for you. But does it close off other opportunities to get to know other people, have sex, and, you know, maybe even fall in love again?
When you get to know somebody else and you fall into this like intense pattern, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, like, if you're, like, in a relationship with a person and you know it's ending, but you're kind of like, ugh, whatever. I'm just going along with the flow, but you're not. I mean, you could be happy, but you're not completely happy. And is it stopping you from, like, you know, meeting new people and having new experiences in a country that you might be new in?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible. And because you really spend so much time invested in that relationship and you really want to just make the most of it, you find yourself sacrificing your time for that person and maybe not pursuing other kind of connections you may have with other people. That's what I'd say. What about, well, how do you feel about that?
I mean, yeah, it probably might, like, you know, close yourself off to other opportunities. But, like, if you're just, like, you know, going with the flow of things and thinking, oh, well, what's the point of even meeting other people because I know I'm leaving again? Like, is it worth it? You know, what's the point?
Exactly.
You know, that's another question. And I wonder if, like, you know, being in these type of relationships that you know are ending, are you willing to be more honest with that person because you're not afraid of the repercussions? You know, for me personally, like, I'm still wary of being honest with that person because, like, if I say something, it could still affect my relationship because as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, I'm really keen on, like, maintaining a friendship with a person despite not being in a relationship. And, you know, my friends, my two exes have worked really hard. My first two exes have worked really hard, you know, to stay in my life and to make sure that, you know, we have built some sort of friendship that was, you know, like a friendship because I consider them two of my best friends after you, of course. And, you know, I think as much as it's nice to be honest with that person, maybe it's not worth it in some stages, some cases, especially if you know, like, you're probably not going to date them again.
Sure, definitely. You just want to kind of look at everything through a pair of rose tint glasses in a way, right? You just want to keep that romance alive, keep that fantasy alive, because what's the point? You're getting into the real world is getting into the fact that you're leaving, getting into the fact that, you know, you might not make this work long term, long distance. Like long distance, I've always been that kind of person who, like, has always thought, like, there's no fucking way I'd do long distance relationships. That's never interested me. I'm somebody who needs, like, physical intimacy. I need, like, sex. I need all of that. So, I mean, I've never considered an open relationship, but maybe that's something one day. But, you know, for me, like, physical intimacy is really important. So, I think in that situation, you just really want to, like, look at the whole relationship you have with that person in the positive sense and really just enjoy your time together. So what's the point even, you know, having to be super honest with them or having these conversations? Just want to go with the flow and enjoy it.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I don't know, it's kind of a weird question for me to ask because, like, all of my relationships have been, 3 or 4 months, and it's always been in that honeymoon. It's always been in that honeymoon period. But
babe, you guys move much, much faster than us. We do. So I know that you move much faster. So that's a lifetime. Like that's a good 7 years or something. You know?
That's true. Like I wanna flip the conversation now, and if you're single. And you know that you're moving towards the end of your time in a place. For example, I have an announcement, guys. We're recording this on the 14th of May. I think this will be released next week or the week after. I'm actually moving back to Australia.
Oh, no, he isn't. No.
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, so I'm moving back to Australia in July. Fingers crossed that everything goes well. And, like, I found myself in this situation of, like, not being scared to, like, meet people and go on dates, but more willing to meet people for hookups because I know that there's no sexual... There's going to be nothing more than just, getting fucked. Thinking about that, and do you think it comes back to our mindset, the fact that me and you right now are basically, like turned off to the idea of meeting somebody? Is that going to affect us even, we might meet someone and they could be the one or they could be the person that we could go in a relationship. The fact that we have basically said, nah, temporary, I'm leaving soon. Is that a problem? Because I think it is a problem, right?
It's such a difficult question.
Right?
Yeah, I guess so. But that's like one of those things in life, right? It's always like wrong time. Sorry, what's the saying?
Right person, wrong time.
Right person, wrong time. But then who knows? Who knows? Maybe, you'll know this person for a little bit and then perhaps you can reconnect later down the line. I'm just saying, my door is always like a little bit ajar anyway.
I was going to say it's a little bit open.
My legs are always a little bit ajar.
Oh, does ajar mean open?
Ajar means open, hun.
Oh.
I'm sure you probably did an English literature. Did you do like an English major or some shit? No, all your majors, they were all languages. But I'm sure you did an English A-level, going back to A-levels. You probably concentrated during your A-levels a little bit more than I did, sucking boys off in the classrooms.
I wasn't gay in high school, excuse me.
No, of course.
But I think this podcast has actually raised more questions than we've actually answered. Because,
golly me.
Personally, I think that there's no right way to go about a relationship when you know it's an expiry date. But I think if you're listening to this and you're in this situation, I think you should just live in the moment, go with how you feel, don't resent the other person, and just enjoy it.
I think always trust your instincts.
Totally.
If you're having a good time, don't overthink things. We live in a society and a culture where we're constantly overthinking, overanalyzing, getting ourselves so worked up. Enjoy the moment.
Totally. With that said, if you would like more content from Labia Talk, you can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook at Labia Talk Podcast. And, I say this every week, but if you're a bit old school, like Maggie, we'd love to hear a story about you. And you can email us at labiatalkpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, Ollie, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Love talking to you.
Every week. And we thank you so much, Alejandra Gonzalez, for the logo design, and to Amy for the music that we absolutely adore. So, Ollie, it's been another fantastic conversation. I am looking forward to finishing off this little bit of Prosecco. And I shall see you very soon.
Bye, chicos. Bye-bye.
Bye, chicos.